Alright, dude. So the first thing you want to do is you want to figure out what your router's IP address is. Now, one way to do that is to go from the command line, but another way to do it is to just kind of guess and see which one works, because there's about two or three different IPs that most routers will use as their default IP address. So you want to go into your browser, whatever it is, Chrome, Firefox, Internet Explorer, anything will work. And the first thing you might want to try is 10.1.1.1. That's what mine is, and that's what a lot of IINet routers are. Now, the one we have here is not 10.1.1.1. So that loads nothing. So that lets you know that probably the router is not on that IP address. So you try another one. Another common one is 1.92.168.1.1. And you can try that. Again, that one didn't work this time. My one here is on 1.192.168.0.1. So I go to that. Now I get this. This is what you'll often see straight away if you get the correct IP address for your router. Then you want to try something like admin. Admin didn't work. Okay, admin password. Okay, so admin password was the default. Okay. Now you have your router's IP address. We're going to come back to this screen, but for the moment, that's all we needed to do. Okay? So once you have your router's IP address, this combination, you want to go down to your network icon down here and open Network and Sharing Center. It'll either be the Wi-Fi icon or it'll be the old networking icon if you're going through your Ethernet cable rather than a Wi-Fi connection. Then once you've opened the Network and Sharing Center, you go to Change Adapter Settings. Now you'll probably see a bunch in here, but probably only one will not have this X on them. You want to go to that, right-click it, go to Properties. Then you want to find Internet Protocol version 4, TCP IPv4. Click on that and go to Properties. What it'll probably look like is this. Okay. Okay, I just needed to double check what my settings are before I change them. So it'll probably look like is this. You want to click Use the following IP address. At that point, you're going to be faced with this. And actually, that will probably be blank as well at first. Then what you want to do is you want to enter the combination for your router. So in my case, it was 192. Again, look up here for the combination. 168.0. And then for the last number, you just want to pick some number that isn't 1. I usually go with 7. Okay? Then you want to hit the tab key. It should automatically fill your subnet mask, and you shouldn't need to fiddle around with that, especially if you're only going through a single router modem. Then you want to go to the next thing. Default gateway is your router, so you just enter the IP address for your router. And then under the DNS server, you enter the address for your router again, and then as your alternative, you enter Google's DNS server, which is 8.8.4.4, or I think you can also use 8.8.8.8, but that's neither here nor there. Then validate settings upon exit, hit OK, close. It'll do this just to make sure your connection is still working. If everything goes well, it is. Then you want to go back to this page and click Advanced or some equivalent. Yours is probably not going to look exactly like this. Then you want to go to maybe Advanced Setup. There we go. Port forwarding, port triggering. That's usually what it's going to be called. It may be called something different. If you can't find it, don't panic. It's in there somewhere. Okay. You click that. Then you want to add add a custom service or add a service or add. It'll be something like that. So you click that. You name it something descriptive like I did with Torrent. Leave it as TCP UDP. Okay, now external starting port, external ending port. You want these to be set to one thing. Then you take this, you put in your IP address for your computer that you set back in the network and sharing center. Sometimes it'll list your devices. I usually don't bother. I just remember what the IP is. Then what you want to do is you want to open up your torrent client. In my case, I'm using Deluge. I think you said you were as well. There it is, somewhere. There we go. Go to Edit Preferences. Go to Network. Now take the incoming ports, and probably you can just copy paste this. Just make sure that use random ports is unticked. You don't want use random ports ticked, okay? You want it to all go through the same port. Then you take the whatever port is here, copy it, Control C, and just paste it into both of these. And make sure that it's using the same port range for internal ports. If it's not, and there's no tick box to just tell it to, you just copy the exact same number into there again, okay? Then in your case, you would click apply. I don't, because I've already got it in there. Then probably what you want to do is restart your router. And that's pretty much it. At that point, you just restart Deluge, and it should be forwarded at that point. Okay? And I forgot to mention, if Deluge asks you to pick a port number randomly, like it hasn't already chosen one, you can Google which ports you should use for torrents. There's only so many ports you can use, but it's a lot. So you just have to pick some within a certain range. But you can just look that up on Google, and just any random port in that range of like thousands of ports is fine. But there are some ports you definitely shouldn't use, like 8080 or 80 on it, just 80, 8080, 8080. Shouldn't use those if HTTP stuff and some other stuff. So if Deluge hasn't already automatically selected a port, look up what port you should be using. Okay, and it's as simple as that. At that point, your ports should be forwarded, and you should be ready to go. Okay?